So now that we've had our task controller set up on the display side, now we can look at all the functions on the Kinze side of things. The Kinze planner display is everything on the right-hand side of the screen, and this is where we will navigate to the different areas of the planter screen itself. Of course, the first thing we need to do is fold or unfold the planter. So to fold or unfold the planter, we are going to go to the folding button. Then we can select whether we want to fold or unfold the planter. If we go back to fold, it takes us through step by step, where the first step to fold the planter is we will hold the fold button and then run our remote to fold the planter. The next is raise the hitch. If we are using a 2-point hitch of the tractor, we will physically use the tractor remote to raise the 2-point hitch, or if we have the optional drawbar hitch on the planter, we will press and hold the raise hitch button, and then we will run our remote on the tractor to raise our drawbar hitch. Next is rotate the rear axle of the planter. So by simply holding the rotate axle button using the remote of the tractor, we will rotate or flip the axle on our 4000 series planter. Last but certainly not least is to raise the wing wheels for better ground clearance during transport. To raise the wing wheels, we simply press and hold the wing wheel lift button and use our remote to retract the wing wheels up into the transport position. Once we reach our next destination or field, then we will simply press our unfold button and reverse the steps and follow them on the screen one step at a time to unfold the planter. Once in the field, we can then look at other things. We can turn on our work lights on and off if needed. Our next button control is our fan button. The fan button is simply to set our vacuum, as we see at the top of the screen, and or our bulk fill fan pressure if our planter is equipped with bulk fill. Vacuum right now is set at 20. Our bulk fill fan pressure is set at 12. We can simply change these settings by pressing our up or down arrow. And on this screen, we can also turn the fans on and off if we so desire. Now we can go back to the planter main menu by simply pressing the menu button. Our operator tab, if we set up 2 different operators, this gives us the ability to have 2 different display or layout settings for each operator to have his own settings to set it up the way he likes. Our layout tab is what we use to physically lay the screen out the way we like, to give it that look, to show us the information that we want on the different pages. We have the capability to use up to 6 pages. Checkbox next to the show will definitely give us that page on our screen. If we do not want that page to show, we simply uncheck the box. Right now we're set up to look at 3 different pages. On page 1, top left-hand side, we have the row markers. To the right of that, we have our speed. The next big window is our population tab. Below that is our row scan, where we will scan through the rows to see their population, to see their accuracy in skips and multiples. The bottom tab, the big tab, is for our manual section control buttons, where we can turn on and off sections of our auto swath manually if we so desire. Our page 2, we have our vacuum fans. We have our bulk fill pressure settings. Once again, we have row scan, our high row, and our low row. One important fact to bring out is we can set this up any way we want by simply touching one of these boxes. The display brings up a list of the different information that we can display in that box. So if we want to change that, I think we'll change it to our singulation tab. By pressing the tab and then pressing done, now we have our singulation readings in that box also. So this can be tailored to look the way you want it, and you can look at as many pages as you so desire or as few pages that you may want to look at. Our third page, we're going to show that also. We see the checkbox over by show, and we have our seed tank weight, we have our acres to empty, and this is if we have the scale option on the bulk fill system. And we have our ground temperature, where we have the optional ground temperature sensor that will give us a readout while we are planting. And also on page 3, I have my section control again. And like we said before, if we want to change that, all we need to do is press the box we want to change, and we can even put in none for no information in that box throughout as many pages that you desire to have on the screen. We'll hit done. This brings us back to once again the planter menu. Settings. This gives us a lot of different areas we can go into that during normal operation we probably will not use very often. But once again, we can refer back to our operator's manual for the planter, and it will explain what each one of these buttons will do for us. Our update button down at the bottom. When updates come out for the different modules on the planter, where we talked about the row modules and even the sensor modules, this is where we can go to update those different modules when it becomes necessary. Once we have everything set up the way we like, we're unfolded in the field, we have our alternator running where we can see the green light by ALT. That lets us know that the alternator of the planter is running and we are ready to operate the planter. So we'll go to page 1. Now you can see this page is set up exactly like we did in the prior steps. I have my markers on the top left of the screen. I have my speed, I have my population, I have my row scan, and I have my manual section control showing. At the bottom of each screen is going to be our bar graph, which I know most of us are used to on different models of planters, but this is to keep track of each row running at that 100%. The bar graph will come up as we are planting. If we look at page 2, we set it up with our vacuum readings left and right. Our bulk fill pressure. In the middle is our singulation window. Here is our high row and our low row as far as showing singulation accuracy and skips and doubles. Page 3 gives us our seed weight and also gives us our acres to empty if our 4000 series planter is equipped with the optional scale package. So we'll go back to page 1. This is our main page. This is probably the main page that we will leave most of the time during planting, because with our marker control, our population, and our row scan, it gives us all of our need to know pertinent information right on page 1. Markers can be run different ways. We can run markers just like we've been used to in the past. If we press the left marker tab, you see it goes green. Now I can run my number 2 remote and my left marker will go out. I hit my right marker tab. Left marker will come up, right marker will go down when I run my remote. A new feature for Kinze planters is the new marker auto feature. If I select auto and the light is green on the display, now when I raise or lower the planter, it will cycle the marker on the opposite side of the planter to go up or down when I hit my remote. So when we turn around at the end of the fields, we don't physically have to hit the button for the next marker. It will switch from left to right automatically. Right hand side of the screen are our soft buttons, as we call them, and these are buttons that we will use to change crop type. We will change population. We can change our insecticide settings and also fertilizer settings if things are equipped with those options. On the planter we have here, our 12 row, you can see that the crop we're planting right now is corn. So to demonstrate how to change crop types and population, let's change it to beans. I hit my crop button and this opens up another window for all types of different crops we're going to plant. Corn, soybeans, milo, sugar beets, sunflowers. Today we're going to plant soybeans. Brings up a window to let you know, make sure you have put in the proper seed disc in the meter for your crop type. Press done. Brings us back to our crop type window, and we can also fine-tune every setting in the display as far as the sensors and physically tell it the seeds per pound of the seed we're planting. It's not a critical setting, but it will let the display do a more accurate job if we set that to the proper seeds per pound setting. So we've selected our crop type. We go back. Now we can physically set the population that we want to plant. Population tab, once again, is a soft button that stays on the right-hand side of the screen. So we press our population tab. This gives us how do we want the planter to plant. A basic population. We can plant by halves. We can plant row by row. And we can have a prescription population. Our basic setting will give us the same population for the whole planter. As you can see, we have presets that we can edit and change to suit our needs, but the presets right now you can see from 25,000 up to 150,000. So like we decided earlier, we are planting beans, so I'm going to plant a population of 150,000 for beans. So I press the preset of 150,000. You can see now that 150,000 is in our main window. And if we go back on our planting screen, now you can see the red tab at the right gives us our population of 150,000. And also our crop tab shows soybeans. If we go back to our population tab, we can look at the different ways we can set the populations. We've went through the basic population. Our next option is by halves. This gives us the ability to set a different population on either half of the planter. We can have a population of 100,000 planting beans on one side of the planter, and we can actually have another population of 220,000 or 100,000, basically whatever we want on the other half of the planter. Our next option is row by row population. This is where we can set a different population on any and every row of the planter. this would be a beneficial to the farmers planting seed corn, where we run a different rate on different rows, be it for our male or female rows. And we can change that by row by simply selecting a row and having a population entered, depending on what we want that population to be. Our presets, we can edit those presets, set them to whatever we would like by simply pressing the edit preset button, selecting a preset that we've previously made, hitting that preset once it's in the window, and now we can change it to whatever preset we would like to show on our screen. Now we have a preset of 32,000 that we can use or change whichever window we're in. If we go back to basic, we can do the same thing. Here's my presets. I can change any one of them whenever I feel like I want to change it by hitting edit preset, selecting that preset, and then physically changing it to a desired set that I would like. That gives us the ability to quickly, one touch, to change our population. Once we have those settings complete, our optional settings are our insecticide setting. We have a basic and a prescription setting for insecticide. From our insecticide tab, we go into this window. We can turn insecticide on and off as we so choose. We also enter the name of our insecticide. We can edit that name, and this is where we set our pounds per acre that we want for insecticide. Very easily set from this screen. These buttons are always on the right-hand side of the screen. We go back to our main run menu. The other button that we haven't spoke about so far on the right-hand side of the screen is our jumpstart button. The jumpstart button is used if you want the planter to instantly plant seed. A situation where you're backing up into the corner of the field. Of course, with any GPS run planter, there is a slight delay before GPS takes over to plant every inch of the ground that you so desire to be planted. So in these instances, we can back up in the corner of the field, get our tractor ready to go forward, start to let out on the clutch to get the tractor in motion, press our jump start button, and the meters will drop seed. As long as we hold that jump start button, we move 3 or 4 feet ahead, we let go. By that time, GPS has taken over and we are planting. The only other button we need to mention on this screen is our main master on-off switch. As you can see right now, it's off and it's red. If I press on, all rows are engaged and we are planting. To manually operate our section controls, we see the section controls down at the bottom. On a 4000 series planter, we must have our overlap control and boundary control on off, and then we can physically turn our sections on and off as we desire. For normal operation, we will have overlap and boundary control turned on the display side, and this will give us the word auto in our section control buttons. And at this point, we cannot manually shut off the section controls until we go back in and turn it off on the display side.